My name is Janice Abel, and I'm an analyst with ARC Advisor Group. I've been there for about 5 years, and my focus areas are MES, EMI, and also operator training simulators. We call MES also collaborative production management, so you might see CPM on some of the slides. And we do that for the process industries because they include other things than we're in traditional MES systems. So we also do MES for discrete industries. So I'm going to do a very short presentation and then followed by some very prestigious world-class speakers we have from very prestigious companies like Chevron and Dow Sadara. And these speakers are really what people are here for. So and what I'd like to do is just give a framework, put everybody on the same page, and talk about some definitions and some trends that we're seeing. So this is part one. We also have part two in the afternoon. Part one is going to be focused on the implementation and the integration of the data and all the different sources of integration and all kinds of information that's out there. People tell me that's one of the areas and one of the challenges that they have. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And so part two is going to be more focused on the analytics, the visualization, and the dashboards. And so hopefully you'll all come back to part two as well. So what I'd like to do is just talk about ARC's definition as a starting point, not to argue, and other people have slightly different definitions, so we don't have to, just to put everybody on the same page kind of thing. And then talk about what the drivers and benefits are, and then talk about a few little survey results, very fast. This is a very top-level overview. So as I say, we have a number of excellent speakers, so that's what I think people want to get to. And also to ask questions at the end, we're going to have a panel come up of experts, and they'll answer a lot of the questions and things that people have about this space. And it is a very growing space. It's the fastest growing space within the MES CPM environment. So just to put things in perspective, you have the automation and the control system. It's gathering all the information into the manufacturing execution system or the CPM system, and it could even be from spreadsheets. So I was saying to one guy, oh, you look at like 10 spreadsheets a day? I said, no, I look at hundreds. I'm like, well, hundreds? How can you look at hundreds of spreadsheets and get any data and meaning from that? And he's like, well, I've been doing it for a long, long time. And that's the thing, is a lot of the people that are in the industry grew up with the systems. So they do know, they know everything inside and out, and they can look at 100 spreadsheets a day and do their job. But with a lot of them are getting ready to retire, and with the new generation of workers, they need to have more technology and rely on some of the innovation that's available today. So one of the things, a subset, within CPM space, you might see planning, scheduling, some batch management, and recipe management. And this varies quite a bit from different applications. You also might see workflow and process management, but you also might see quality management. Traceability has been a big driver in the CPM space. But within that space, there's also EMI, Enterprise Manufacturing Intelligence, and that's the area that we're going to focus on. And that's really the integration of the data, the contextualization, and getting all that data and making sense out of the data. And that's what EMI is all about. And some people call EMI, instead of Enterprise Manufacturing Intelligence, they call it Operations Intelligence. And then there's a couple other terms I've heard for it. So we need actually probably a better term in a way to cover all the different industries. So just to put it a little bit more focused perspective, EMI consists of the integration, the aggregation, and the management of the data. And this is not easy in many cases. A lot of the machines and a lot of the systems out there are not new, and they have to integrate and get that data because it's very valuable data. And there's a lot of information that they really need to do their jobs. So data contextualization and the modeling, this would all be part of EMI. Making sure it's quality data. And this is important too, because sometimes people actually have bad data. So you've got to make sure it's good data. And then the analytics, being able to perform analytics And not just, we've been hearing a lot about analytics, but it really goes beyond just analytic tools. It's like the prescriptive and making predictions on data that you have, and so that we can strive to really be an autonomous manufacturing. And dashboards, and that's the visualization piece. So these are really the tool sets and the capabilities that you would find in our definition of an EMI system. So what are some of the drivers behind EMI? Well, the Internet of Things, of course, we've been hearing all about it all week, so I have to mention that all the new sensors and the smart sensors, they're driving this. The big data and analytics, of course, is a huge driver. The visualization, the cloud computing, and I know that's the reason that EMI is, all of these are because EMI is the fastest growing space in the CPM, because it's so important to get value out of the information that you have. And the thing is, big data, it's increasing, it's going to keep increasing. So one of the things, and this is from Cisco, they had done a report and they did a study, and they claim that there's going to be 50 billion, and there's different claims out there as well, but I just quoted this one, individual connections by 2020, and that represents a value of $14.4 trillion. So 27% of that value is going to be in the manufacturing sector. So that's $3.5 trillion in manufacturing. So it's pretty sizable. I can't even fathom $3.5 trillion. So, you know, I think it's, and it's going to keep, I mean, I think there's a lot of value, and that's the value that I see in EMI. So one of the things is that data is keep continuing to increase. And we're not running out of data, but the reality is we're running out of metrics. So one of the questions you have is, what's after a yottabyte? And this person that I know from MIT, Andrew McAfee, he's from the Center of Business Excellence, he had said that, you know, okay, after a yottabyte, some people have suggested a brontobyte, and then somebody else suggested a geobyte. And then he saw a blog, he said, that said, well, what about a hellabyte? Because that's a hell of a lot of data. So one thing's for sure, we're not running out of data. So the Internet of Things, and why is that? Well, the Internet of Things and data are fueling intelligence. And that's why I think the intelligence is the important part, because that's the value that you're going to get out of your technology and what you're doing with the EMI, or in the manufacturing, or in the operations area. And the growth in data is fueled by data from all of these different things, particularly video, and I'm hearing about, and the 3D technology and the graphics that we're seeing. That's really adding to the amount of data that you're seeing out there. And when I think about the data, I'm thinking in terms of online, offline, social data, structured data, unstructured data, all data, and in real time. And I think that's a key, is the real time, milliseconds, whatever. So this was, one person used this example of what manufacturing a big plant was from. So if you had, say, this would be like a manufacturing plant, maybe like a canning plant or a tobacco plant. You had 150,000 samples a second. You do the math. That's 9 million samples per minute. That's 540 million samples per hour. That's 13 billion samples a day, which is 5 trillion samples per year. So you have a lot of data. And then I saw this in the Wall Street Journal. It kind of caught my eye because of the EMI thing. Was people are collecting data all over the place, and even in the consumer and in personal lives, they're collecting data. You know, and this was in Wi-Fi in the retail area, but the wind centers are gauging pollution, and also even sensors that are figuring out if you have too much with infrared cameras, leading to fines for carbon dioxide. So I thought that was quite interesting. So we did a survey, and we did it for a couple of years in a row, but this particular survey, the #1 decision each time was, and this #1 reason for implementation was making faster decisions. So faster decision making is really the reason people implement EMI in the operations and manufacturing space. So we asked, the #2 reason was for implementation was improving productivity. So improving yields, people said, cycle times, and throughput. So that was the #2 reason. So we also asked another question, and that was, what is the number one what are the implementation challenges? And the number one challenge, and it was pretty much for 2 years in a row, was the high cost to implement and deploy. And I'm sure nobody in this room is surprised, because when you're integrating to a lot of different data sources, that's where a lot of the cost is, which leads to the number two challenge, which was the integration of the data. So that's why we're focused on this area in this session today. And it's really, they want to get data from any source. And that's what people really want to get. And they want to get it in a format that's easy to understand. So I looked up the definition of intelligence, because I like the word intelligence. And intelligence is the ability to understand or deal with new or trying situations. And the number two area was the ability to apply knowledge to manipulate one's environment. And that, to me, is really what summarizes what EMI is all about. It's about the data, you can see, the information, the knowledge, and making it intelligent information, and then actually actionable information, making an actionable decision. And that's really where you're going to see the value from EMI. So I say intelligence is the new mantra. It's not analytics. It's not big data. It's intelligence. So, and that's where the value is, as I said. So if you had plants in the past, you took the data, and you talked to people, and they were storing all this data, so really they were washing the money, the value down the drain. One plant manager said to me, we're storing it all. He said, we're not doing anything with it, but we've got it. So the reality is what you need to do is take that data, integrate it, and make it very visual so that people can understand and make sense out of it. And I think this is even more so true today. So really, just a few final thoughts before I introduce our speakers. What are the benefits from EMI that we're going to talk about? And some of it's being connected and integrated, having insight and data to make real-time decisions, and also to increase performance, and that's key. And all of this leads to reduced costs and optimizing the capabilities within the manufacturing environment. So, and it's all about innovation and having technologies that can do this for you. So I say, just imagine what you can do with the right intelligence. And it's all about the intelligence. So thank you very much.